everyone. Welcome to Blue Heron Hill. The garlic patch today. It's a little bit late, maybe about a week, 10 days later than I would normally harvest this garlic. But have to get it done, and I have to start curing it if I want a viable long-term crop. So let's get into it right now. Okay, you can tell when garlic is ready to harvest is when it loses about 4 of its bottom leaves. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 here on this particular one, so that signals to me that it is time to harvest the garlic. Some of these are a little bit more, but all of them are ready to come out generally here at the same time, including this weed. Generally, my garden patch was pretty weed-free until about 3 weeks ago, when everything just overwhelmed me. I know a lot of you gardeners are feeling that same overwhelmingness of garden, trying to keep up with those weeds, yet now your harvest is starting, and that's more important than the weeds. So let's get digging this up and see what I've got. Now, when I planted this garlic, it gets planted at about 4 to 6 inches deep. So there's no just pulling this up, or you're going to break this stem off and you're going to have to dig up that bulb anyway. So I use a tined fork. Mine are all pretty much in a grid pattern, so you're going to have to stay away from that bulb when you dig it up. There we go. Here's the first one. First one up. Looks like a very nice head of garlic. I have perhaps 75, 80 more to go, and I'll be back when that's all done. Now let's go in the shade and we'll talk garlic. Wow, is it hot? But it is the summer and it is harvest time. So I love this nifty little cart. If you saw a couple videos ago, my interns were here. They put this whole thing together in 25 minutes, just over 25 minutes. Great little harvesting aid here. But anyway, let's talk about this garlic. I have some beautiful, beautiful heads here. Now, every year I save back some of this garlic and I use it to plant new garlic in the fall. And I think I've said this in some other videos. I don't know what variety this is. All I know, it's a hard-necked variety, which means this is the neck and it's hard. It does not bend. You can't braid these because they are so hard. The soft-neck variety will store longer than the hard-neck variety. But even at that, I still prefer the hard neck because, number one, they give you scapes. I'll put a link down below there and you can see my video about garlic scapes. And I also have a playlist on garlic and garlic scapes that I'll link in the description. And you can take a look at that and see all the different things that you can do with garlic scapes. A second harvest, well actually it's the first harvest of garlic. This is the second and the primary harvest of garlic. Now, one thing I like about garlic is you plant 75 cloves of garlic, you are going to get 75 heads of garlic. This is a very good size head of garlic. They're all fairly uniform in size. Here's one that might be a little bit smaller. I usually save out some very large cloves. Every year I think, oh, I will just go online and order a new variety so I know what variety it is. But this variety tends to do very well in my garden. I've had it in my garden for, it has to be 7 or 8 years now. So tried and true for me. I like it. I like the flavor. I like the storage. It does well in my area, so I kind of stick with it. I think last year I did order some soft neck garlic. I planted that, and well, actually it was the year before, so a harvest in 2024. That soft neck variety did last longer than this. I have a couple videos also on garlic and what you can do when it starts to sprout. You can dehydrate it, you can make powder out of it, you can freeze it, you can make garlic butter out of it. There are just a multitude of ways to preserve this beyond just the bulb stage. But what we have to do now, you can eat this now. Totally okay, fresh garlic, it is wonderful in dishes. But for long-term storage, we need to prep this. We need to provide it with a good deal of airflow. We don't want it out in the hot sun. And we want to be able to spread it out, have it dry for perhaps, 3 or 4 weeks even. And all of the foliage is going to dry off. All of the neck part is going to dry, and it's going to seal off this head of garlic, so it will last longer in your long-term storage. So what I do is I have, and I'll post a picture down here if I can, I have under my porch on the bay side, which doesn't get any real amount of sun, maybe an hour in the early mornings, but it gets a nice breeze, it gets a cool area, so these can dry out very nicely under there, out of the rain, out of the elements, yet it would be it's perfectly suited for hardening off these heads of garlic. So I set up down below, I have these old dog pen sides that are not of use anymore. So what I do is I have my hard neck. I just cut it off here because I don't need the top at all. And then upside down in one of these slots. And that way it will give it great airflow from below because you want that stalk to dry out. Right now it's still green and we want it all brown. So as it dries, to test it, what I'll do is come along and just cut off an inch or so to see how much has all dried off. And I can tell when it's fully dry and when this right here kind of crunches a little bit, right at the neck where the cloves attach there. That is important that this all dries out right to there. So I have a few more to do here. In the past, I've just laid these out. This is a stone pad back here, just gravel here, and that helps. That will dry them out also. But since I had this, I am using what I have, and this seems to create a little bit more airflow. Now, if you've inadvertently speared any, you're going to want to use those right away, and you can use those as fresh garlic. This one's a little weird. I don't know how that clove had popped out like that. Maybe in pulling it out somehow or another I did that. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to use this in a dish in cooking in the next couple days. So here is the whole array. It looks to be about 85 heads of garlic. I think I counted that. Could be mistaken. So all of these have to dry. And you start drying out. Do not wash these to wash the dirt off. That only introduces more moisture, and you want them dried. Right now the skins are very delicate, and you want them dried so they become that nice papery consistency that you're used to. Make sure it doesn't get wet out here. I have a ceiling up here, a deck above me. Usually this stays nice and dry. Plenty of airflow back here. It's cooler. It's not out in the hot sun, and these will dry slowly, but they'll dry firmly. So that's Garlic Harvest 2025. And be sure you subscribe if you haven't already, because come fall, end of September, early October, when I start planting garlic for next year's harvest. So until the next time that we can go digging in the dirt, happy gardening.